guys, you've joined us live at Moneycontrol. I'm Manisha Gupta, and with me in the hot seat is David Kellie. He's CEO at National Diamond Council. David, hi, thank you so much for joining us at Moneycontrol, and a very happy new year to you. Is it turning out to be new year when it comes to diamonds as an industry too?
Yes, I think so. The early view on the industry is that we've had a good holiday season, which is very important, particularly in the US market. And things seem to be turning in our favour this year. So no, so far this year it's looking good, and we're optimistic for the year.
All right. You know, there have been some reports which suggest that last year the Indian diamond jewellery market was somewhere around $7 billion. And there are big projections coming in for the next 3, 5 and 10 years as well. How would you look at India on the map of diamond growth demand?
Yeah, in terms of consumer demand for diamonds, there's a general consensus in the industry that this is the fastest growing market in the world. The US is doing okay. It's obviously the largest market in the world. China is having certain economic challenges, but India is the fastest growing market for diamond jewelry in the world. So it's very exciting to be here and to see it firsthand and understand it. There's clearly a young female audience that has money to spend and loves diamonds. There's retail consolidation, and there's a lot of great things happening in the retail market. So no, it's very exciting to be here and see the potential of this market.
David, while of course the Indian demand itself seems to be increasing quite strongly, but India is a big exporter as well when it comes to jewelry. So when it comes to the other major markets like US and China and Middle East, how do you see demand returning to these space?
Yeah, I mean, to put it into context, 2021 and 2022 were phenomenal years for this industry. Record years coming off the back of the pandemic. Last year saw a slight correction in that. So over the first 3 quarters of last year, there was a correction, and that corrects inventories and the supply chain. But really in the last quarter of last year, we saw a turn in that and a return to price growth. And that seems to have continued over the holiday season and into this year. So I think the industry very much believes that will continue. So if ever there was a time to buy diamonds, now feels like the right time.
Now is the right time.
Yeah, exactly. If commodities is about buying at the right time, then this feels like the right time.
So do you think that the diamond prices have seen a bottom already, and from here on we could be looking at further growth, or do you think it's consolidation that you are aiming for?
No, I think my view is that if you, like I say, we saw the bottom of it really around October, November time of last year. The mining companies were selling less rough diamonds, and that seems to have corrected the inventory challenges. Ironically, retail sales is far less volatile than actually the sales within the industry because of inventory. So actually, the retail sales in the US were good over the holiday season in the context. So I very much see that now that the inventory has cleared through, that actually we'll return to a much more normalised growth pattern for the industry.
David, the other thing that the G7 is trying to establish right now is tracking of diamonds, with of course Russia in picture, with the kind of sanctions that we've seen come in there. How does that impact the world, especially India?
Yeah, so as with all commodities, it's not easy to trace commodities. We are a global industry with diamonds are mined in southern Africa and Northwest Territory of Canada, so they're mined all around the world. The supply chain is global. Clearly, they are very small products that get traded, so it's very difficult to follow diamonds. There is a huge amount of development going on with blockchain, and not just because of the G7, but consumers want to understand the provenance of what they're buying. They want to know the people that have touched it. They want to know the companies behind it. So we've been on this path for a long period of time. Is how do we provide transparency to consumers and now to the G7 in terms of that supply chain? So that's what this industry is all working together to achieve. It's a great industry for people working together and working for the greater good. And I'm no doubt that we'll achieve great progress through this year in support of the G7.
As National Diamond Council, how are you looking at the trade crossword? And since you are in India, what are the plans now for 2024?
Yes, so really it's about continuing to inspire the consumer. She is now spending all of her time on her phone. She's getting all of her influences through social media, YouTube, etc. So somewhat the days of campaigns being traditional and print and areas like that are no longer the case. And so we have a great team here in India that produces content every day of the year, is pushing out through Instagram and all the other social platforms. So it's really about making sure you stay in tune, being culturally relevant, being important to her particularly, being there for the special moments in her life, and those special moments, whether it be a romantic commitment or the birth of a child or those moments. So it's a great industry to be in, because as a luxury marketeer, there are so many moments that diamonds celebrate. And she doesn't need an excuse. She never needs an excuse. Friends that I meet, it's always kind of, just I've got an I'll find an excuse, and it's about making sure that we remind her and inspire her with the amazing jewelry that diamonds become.
And David, it's not just jewelry. I mean, I've seen people support pens with the diamond there, and even phones for that matter. I've seen diamond-studded phones. I mean, you talk about a market, and there's so many ways to delve into it.
Yes, that's right. People always associate it with jewellery, but you see in the art world how they're used. Even sports, I think Serena Williams was wearing sneakers with diamond studded. Footballers are wearing it. So it's actually very interesting, and I can talk at great length on these matters, but if you look at hip hop and the culture of hip hop and how diamonds are integral to that, you look at music and how often diamonds are quoted in music lyrics. Diamonds occupy culture, and that's what makes it so interesting, is just how it permeates in all cultures all around the world. So
is it about high caratages, or do you think the smaller pointers also seem to be flying off the shelf?
It's everything. It's everything, and it's the jewelry and jewelry particularly. Jewelry, almost no two pieces are the same, and I always say that when I meet people and talk about fashion, they tend to belong to a tribe. They tend to have a style, men particularly, but women as well. But you talk to them about their jewelry and how their jewelry collection, there's nobody else in the world that has the same jewelry collection.
Absolutely.
And every piece of jewelry means something. It means a moment, it means an achievement, it means a vacation. So that's what makes it so interesting. So diamonds of all sizes play into that.
And it's not always a she, it's sometimes a he as well.
Yeah, the men's market is still relatively small by comparison, but is very rapidly growing.
Is it like a 90-10 or even smaller for men?
I would say it's smaller still, depending on which market, but it's very rapidly growing. If you look at the red carpets, for example, we've just had the Golden Globes in the US. Now it becomes pretty much a standard adornment for men is to be wearing diamonds. And so yes, it certainly is growing larger in the men's market as well.
It's called Golden Globes, but people wear diamonds there more often,
yeah, well, the red carpet, obviously, and again, looking at all the reviews of it, again, diamonds were just pervasive through the red carpet, bigger diamonds, bigger jewellery. It brings that glamour to these special moments.
Absolutely. Okay, a final question, and this one is always, the new segment that we've seen come in for diamonds, which is the synthetics. How do you see that market growing? Because there's so much conversation around it. Is it a parallel segment? Is it mixing in somewhere? How is that?
Yeah, we see the segment as being very different, and over time, as we've seen in the US, with pricing coming down so considerably, a lab-grown diamond is now around 10 to 20% of the price of a natural diamond. So that inevitably creates two very, very different markets. It creates two retail markets, retail distribution in the US. Lab-grown is becoming more Walmart and Pandora and companies like that. So we see it as two very different markets. And so the two can live comfortably side by side. But obviously, we believe passionately in the natural diamond market.
That word is well taken. David, thank you so much for joining us here at Moneycontrol and talking everything about diamonds. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure.